Hello and welcome to the latest Get Stuff Done podcast. I am your host, Gordon Dudley, and I am absolutely delighted to be joined by yet another fantastic guest, Stephen Park, who is the co-founder and CEO of Asian Boss, an independent media company who are on a mission to bridge the gaps between Asia and the rest of the world. With subscribers in excess of 3.5 million and a combined social media following of over 7 million, they have been really breaking some boundaries when it comes to their independent style and their mission-led objective. I've known Stephen here in Korea for a couple of years now, and I'm really excited to have a chat with him today about his journey and, most importantly, how he gets stuff done. So, Stephen, a very warm welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Gordon. Glad to be here.
Great. And so let's kick off with how we originally know each other. So you're based in Korea, here in Seoul, as am I. And we've actually been working together to try to help Asian Boss grow.
That's right. You've been very helpful to date, because I think we realized that one of the toughest challenges, like, doing a startup, let's say, or starting a company, it's the talent. And you actually reminded me fairly early on that sometimes it's better to leave things to the experts when it comes to finding these, like the super high quality talent. And this is, quite interesting coming from me, maybe, because people assume when I talk to people about us having a lot of problems with company, the last thing they would expect, given our reach, like our global reach, is that we would have issues finding the right talent. But yeah, that is actually one of the biggest, if not the biggest, issue that we still, haven't quite addressed, because just these type of superstars are just so hard to come by. And then we obviously got to talk more about how you do your thing. And then that's why, I don't really do a lot of these podcasts. In fact, I believe this is actually my very first ever podcast actually being invited or saying yes to being invited to as a podcast as guest. So, well, it's kind of interesting because I'm always on the receiving end. I'm on, it's like a flipping the script here. So,
well, that is my true honor, and thank you so much for accepting my invite. And I think it makes sense to really start at the beginning and clarify that. First, I'd like, maybe for those who are not familiar with what Asian Boss is and what you guys do, maybe to just tell a little bit about how you were talking about being professional. Well, in this case, what we are doing right now on a podcast and creating content is very much what you do, and I am the non-expert, seeing as we've recently started the podcast. So a great privilege to be able to have you as a guest and turn the tables around. But please tell us a little bit about Asian Boss.
Yeah, so me and my co-founder Kay, we started Asian Boss almost exactly 10 years. 10 years ago. And yeah, we had this, I had this vision that one day the mainstream media is going to be made totally redundant by the rise of social media and algorithms. And yeah, the legacy media, the worsening of polarization, a divisiveness that we see in today's world. For some reason, I kind of predicted that almost 10 years ago. And, we have all these like different cultural stereotypes about different places that we've never been to. And the only way we get exposed to almost like different cultures or how other people that are different from us think is by, consuming the mainstream media and whatever they propagate, although people might not perceive it that way. And yeah, and I just saw that it's not only worsening the cultural gaps, how people just have zero interest in like nuanced perspective of what's really going on in many parts of the world, especially in Asia. And even now, I bet you there's so many people in the world who might actually think of Asia as a country and not as a continent. The same way you might ask any Koreans or Japanese people, and they will probably think of Africa as a country, not a continent. And
Right.
it's kind of interesting to me how, yeah.
I was just going to ask, where did the name originate from?
Yeah, so Asian part is kind of obvious because I'm Asian, and we foresaw Asia sort of as the up and coming cultural hub, and you can now see that. Now you see it with all these like Korean pop culture, almost like being just complete dominant on the global stage, but yeah, we sort of saw this like a cultural shift from Hollywood and the West to Asia. Could have started with the Japanese culture, like animation and things like that, to now Korean culture. But we are really noticing this like a shift of cultural relevance, almost like being in Asia is kind of cool. So we really wanted to do something to shed light on what's going on in Asia. That's the Asian part. Boss, as in type of like a leader, where anybody could take action and get stuff done, like a boss type of thing.
Like a boss. Okay.
Yeah. So we just want to be boss, and not me. But I really believe that, man, if like an average person, some nobody like me, could do something to make a difference, then surely I can inspire many, many other people that are way smarter than me and have more resources, and talented, skill, and they could probably do a lot more. So, boss part is sort of like my aspirational thing that everybody can be a leader, to share their own story, encourage other people to speak up and things like that. Yeah.
And talking of having courage and being a boss, prior to Asian Boss, you were also a little more conventional in your career. I understand that you were actually in the legal industry prior to starting Asian Boss. So what was it that for you kind of made you want to make the change, or not just make the change, maybe you wanted to for a long time before that, but what was it that finally made you decide, I can step out of corporate and kind of do my own thing?
Yeah, I mean, I got asked that question quite a bit, and probably one of the things that I got asked the most is, do you regret ever leaving the legal profession? And do you think about it? Do you wish that you could have made a different choice? I'm like, no. When I resigned and walked away for good, knowing that that's gonna be my last time, I did not think twice about it. I mean, at the time, I was already working, 90 plus hours per week, and when you're not when you're not passionate about something, you're not driven by something, there's only so much your willpower can take you through. So, unless you have something pulling you, like, your willpower can only take you so far. And I was trying. So ironically, had I had a very comfortable job, working 9 till 5 in some like IT job or something like that, I never might have quit. But because I was pushed to the max doing something that I knew I could be good at, but I just didn't feel compelled to do it. There was no sense of calling. And the biggest irony, I would say, is that ever since I was like 13, all I wanted to become was a lawyer. And once I reached the ultimate goal of working at a top tier law firm, it's like the saying goes, be careful what you wish for because you might actually get it. And
got it.
When I got to where I thought was going to be my life, everything was going to be cool, and then I got there, and it's like, no, it's not all. It didn't crack out to be what I wanted all along. I just knew that I was capable of making a bigger difference, and I just really wanted to. This is something I speak very often about, but leaving some sort of a legacy behind. Just how can I serve humanity better? And I just didn't see how that was possible through being a lawyer. But hey, maybe if I just make viral videos, and just like how videos can change like a perception about an entire country, like what Psy did with Gangnam Style, for example, which funny enough is actually one of the videos I watched that helped me make the decision. Oh, okay, this is it. This is the most scalable way to make a global impact. So I knew that I had to do something with videos, but I just knew that it wasn't possible with my lifestyle at the time, which was literally working 90 plus hours a week.
But it can't have been easy though, at the start to just, go back 10 years ago, YouTube was not as ubiquitous as it is now. Social media integration across the board, not as widespread, not generation brought up on social media. So it must have been tough going. There must have been times that even once you'd started and you had obviously to a certain extent found what you were looking for with regards to your bigger life goals, but you still must have had some really tough moments over the years.
Yeah, so I guess because I've been around the scene for so long in the YouTube space, I'll tell you something funny. When Kay and I jumped into the YouTube space, we received two different types of feedback. Number one is like exactly what you said, is like, what is YouTube, right? Sorry, is it even a job? Like, are you like, yeah, you just blew people's mind. Like, why would you go through law school and years of training as a lawyer, and then you just gotta make some YouTube videos? So that was like a one type of response.
I mean, definitely YouTuber was not a defined term back then, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
But I'll tell you what's more interesting is that for those people who were already in it, like in other words, they were creators before they were known as creators, because we talked to a lot of those people as well.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, people still say this. Everybody said that they kind of knew about the YouTube space. They said we were all too late at the time. That, man, you guys are not going to make it big because it's already too saturated. Remember, this is 10 years ago. Now you will hear people say the same thing, whether it be in the podcast space, the TikTok space, YouTube space, is way too saturated. Now you can't do anything to stand out. In my humble opinion, just based on my experience, that's complete nonsense. Because we were told that exact same thing. And when I look at even like, because I get the question of like, oh, if we were to start over again today, what would you do? Like, do you think it's too late? I'm like, no, not at all. Not at all. I see so many opportunities. But yeah, it's basically that was actually, I would say we were told more by those people who already were doing a lot of things in the, internet marketing space or content creation space. They were like, you guys are too late. So either way, we're going to fail, because either people say that that's not even a real job, you can make money out of it, or not that I was driven by money anyway, or you're too late. So you could already see in everybody's mind what the odds of success were, right? So yeah, I still think about the time when either I was crazy or they just like kind of take a pity on you, like, oh yeah, you must be going through some sort of a quarter life crisis. We understand, just do whatever you got to do when they come back. Maybe just think of it as a nice break, but yeah.
So bring us up to date with the latest, because this is a pretty exciting development that you've had in recent months with Asian Boss. Tell me what the latest transformation or launch that you've had.
Yeah. So, like I said, we've been creating content for a long time without really expecting anything in return. In other words, we really didn't actually have a product or service that we charge money for. I mean, then in that case, you could argue that our videos themselves were the product that people just consume, but then we were always going to be dependent on external third-party platforms like YouTube. But, finally, after all these years, we actually decided to seriously, consolidate whatever influence we built over the years and decided to create our own membership platform where we actually charge people money for, accessing exclusive content that we create that we don't really upload on YouTube, as well as fostering this type of exclusive content, exclusive community that I've always been wanting to build. And, because up until now, all our so-called community was like all scattered on some random Facebook groups, YouTube comment sections. But then the idea was to really consolidate everything. If people know about Asian Boss, this is where they should be to interact with other like-minded people that also care about bridging, cultural gaps or building cultural bridges, I should say, and talk about, just bring more positivity to the world and talk about like positive cultural experiences rather than just making each other enemies and just constantly fighting over it. So that was sort of like the very recent development. We launched it literally like a month ago. And, I think it's work in progress. It's something we got to build on. But yeah, I just don't think we're going to give up on this because it's just something that we've been building for a long time. And some things like branding, like some things like a brand is really hard to build.
But, it does take time, exactly. All good things do take time. Success doesn't come overnight. Always, the classic, thing of people saying, oh, how lucky you are to have made it. But that it's not reflected in the years of hard slog, and doing it alone. That is the kind of guest that I want to always bring onto the Get Stuff Done podcast. Someone who, in the face of adversity, perhaps against the odds, has come out on top. That shows a certain, characteristic about the ability to get stuff done, whether that's alone or just from a kind of place of not having a big, well-established brand behind you. What is it about yourself, Stephen, that you think makes you you've clarified the mission of Asian Boss, but what is it that brought you to want that to be your mission? What is it that really drives you?
I think it's just my innate desire to reach my full potential, whatever that is. Because one of the things that I've always hated hearing, maybe some people can relate, but, oh, Stephen, you have so much potential, or this company has so much potential. And I think that kind of sums up kind of like a lot of what we see other people go through. I just feel like, look, I'm on Team Humanity, as Elon Musk would say. I believe in this tremendous human potential that if we actually unleash that potential, we can solve any problems that we face. Any technological challenges, environmental challenges. I really believe that we're capable of solving it. Just that maybe as an Asian person, who spent child growing up in Korea, under the Korean education system, maybe I've seen too many of those, human spirit or human potential gets squashed by the mainstream thinking or parental pressure. And I don't really come across people that, number one, even do what they're passionate about, or they even know what their purpose in life is. But number two, they never actually get to maximize their potential. And I just hated to be that person, one of the other, just another many, many millions of people who just go through their entire lives not knowing that this is like their maximum capacity, maximum output they can produce, given my potential. So I'm like, okay, what could I be doing to completely unleash whatever it is that I'm capable of? Because I don't know. I've never pushed myself. And I think that only comes with you just taking yourself out of the comfort zone and just have a really big, ambitious goal that excites you, but at the same time, it kind of feels like a calling in life, where the more you do it, the more, maybe because of the type of feedback you get from people, that you just get drawn to it. And then you realize, you come to the realization, oh, you know what? Yeah, this is actually my purpose. This is what I'm here for. I'm not a religious person, but I truly believe in the sense of calling or purpose, mission, or like a vision. I had this vision of what I want the future to be, and it's just about executing those, vision, that type of whatever I imagine on my own terms, and that's sort of like maybe where I also get to simultaneously unleash my potential as well. Towards the journey of the unknown.
I love that, on my own terms. I think that, as a British person who's spent 13 years now in Korea, on my own terms, I think is something that should be, more strongly accepted as the best thing for the individual. Definitely, I think.
I have a feeling that you and I were cut from the same cloth. And one of the things I don't like to be boxed in and just be categorized or stereotyped. Oh, you're this British person in Korea. You should, behave in a certain way or like conform to how. I just none of that stuff.
For sure. I mean, and I think for me, also what you said about like regrets, like, for me, one of my absolute business like idols and definitely one of the people that I really have respected for so long is Sir Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group. And I just saw just the other day a little post. So he famously bought an island in the Caribbean a long time ago, like really early on in his career. But actually, I read about the backstory of the purchase of that island. It was Necker Island, it's called. It was listed for $6 million. And he was trying to impress his girlfriend at the time by being able to buy an island or have an island. So just as a joke, he put in an offer of 100,000 and he ended up settling on 180,000 from an original guide list price of 6 million. So under the mantra of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right there, and so that really kind of struck home with me as well. Sim, tell me some of your really practical, like kind of day-to-day things or techniques that you do to keep yourself on track and make sure you get everything that you need to get done. I mean, you're head of a company. You have, of course, a lot of production and output to do as well. what are some of the things that you do to make sure you get through everything you need to do?
Well, first of all, I tend to work quite a lot compared to the average population. So it's fair to say that I'm constantly working.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I actually was talking about this because, I tend to be very sort of self-reflective. So I just think a lot about how I can improve myself. I'm a bit of a personal development junkie. I don't know if you can tell that, but I really see this as a trap for a lot of very smart, capable people, and that is they really overthink things. They think too much.
Okay.
Basically, I'm sure you heard this term, paralysis through analysis.
Yeah.
Because you overanalyze, because you think about, okay, what's more important to do. I actually think it's just the simpler the less you have in your mind, the better, almost. So you need to almost like be in the habit of, before you even start thinking about things, you just gotta, even if you think of it as a, not so important, like, getting back to emails or something like that in the morning. The fact that it sort of gets you into that rhythm, and you're sort of getting warmed up. And I really believe in this concept of warming up because, like, for example, you hit the gym in the morning, ideally you want to stretch, you want to warm up, and then get your heart rate going before you start, like, pushing heavy weights or lifting heavy. And I recently, and maybe this is something I'm revealing for the first time, is I recently started taking some vocal lessons. And because I just, I've been told that, like, oh, Steven has a decent speaking voice, and then maybe he's like really good at singing or something. And I'm like, I just cannot sing. So it's like, okay, I wonder what my potential is in singing. Like, I wonder how good I could get if I could unleash this. And then one of the things I actually realized that every time we before we start the class, there's a lot of warm up, right? And something I'm like, wow, that's cool, because it just realized I've been, like, I'm not talking for all day, just working. And then at the end of the day, I try to speak loud. It just doesn't come out, right? You need to like just warm up your vocal cord. So just like that, when it even comes to work, I think it's just important to just get in the rhythm and start getting warmed up. It's like when you're sitting and you're trying to draft this perfect, piece of copywriting, or, try to come up with a script or something like that. Just like writing an essay back in law school, when you try to draft a perfect thing and you just think and think and think, and you're never going to progress beyond one paragraph.
Yeah.
But you just like start dumping your ideas, and then you can always refine it as you go. But once you get yourself into that groove of writing, or whatever it is that you do, you just got to get started.
Yeah.
Without thinking. And to me, that actually worked. That worked out quite well over the years. That whenever I feel like I have an important task, I know I'm going to come around to it, because I just don't, I can't finish the day without actually getting it done. But, okay, and I know that some people have like, oh, just get the most important first thing, get the thing done out of the way. And yes, I tend to do that as well. But if I really, really don't feel like getting to it, I just gotta start with something. And then I can feel my brain sort of warming up, getting me into this creative zone. Or like, if I have to draft like a piece of legal contract, I'm like, oh man, I just don't feel like doing it. But then let me just read on things that's related to that. And then I slowly start getting warmed up, and then like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to just start drafting now. So
fully agree.
Yeah. I mean, basically, just don't overanalyze, just take action, or because, like as Tony Robbins would say, when there's motion, your emotion follows, right? So I think it's just important to just get moving and just take action and just do something without thinking, oh, but is this the most important things to do today?
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it.
1,000% agree, and I think we are coming from the same philosophy, because we didn't talk about this in advance of the episode, but that is exactly the
really?
ethos and the mantra of the Get Stuff Done project. That starting is already half the battle, and you mentioned exercise. No one likes that first moments of going out for the run, but as soon as you start running, all of a sudden you just keep going, right? In your case,
that's actually a very good analogy, but I'll go a step further. And how I define starting, like, so you just gave me an example of going for a run, and then the moment you start running, I would actually define starting as even getting out of bed. So for example, I hate waking up early in the morning, but I just train myself to always wake up at 5 a.m., right? It's like, oh, yeah, I got to get up. I got to hit the snooze button. But the moment, like, I even start thinking, I just literally just pull my body up. I just sit up, and that's already the motion has started, right?
Yes.
And you just realize that the moment you literally force yourself to just get up, then you don't think about going to bed back. You don't feel like going to bed. So
exactly,
basically in this cold weather, the moment I step outside the house in order to, I don't know, grab the subway, get in a cab, that's already like, yeah, I'm on my way to working out. So that's a win, right? So that's a part of my warming up process. The fact that I was managed to get out of the house at this hour so that I can go to the gym. I don't even have to go to the gym. I already that's half the battle for me. So like, yeah, you just got to chunk it down to that granular level of small wins, I guess.
For sure. No, I couldn't agree more. Especially when it comes to business and work, because there's no such thing as a perfect plan. The one thing that is certain is that once you get started, you will discover something that you didn't expect, couldn't predict, or something changes. And even if the plan was right for those circumstances, the circumstances have already changed. And so that's definitely something that I've learned in the last 7 years running RDI, is that I think the textbook way is emergent strategy, which means basically developing strategy as you go, which is a nice way of putting it. But really, it's like you say, the main thing is getting started is already getting you in the right path. When it comes to managing others, right? I mean, we've talked a certain amount about self-management, self-leadership. How about in your in your organization when it comes to leading and managing others? What are some of the things that you espouse or try to cultivate within others in order that you can make sure that they get done what they need to get done?
Yeah, that's like an age-old question. How to be a good leader? I honestly don't think I'm actually better than them. So, I just happen to have more experience. All I can do is try to lead by example, reiterating why we're doing this every single day. Talking about what needs to be done. I mean, I don't even really do that anymore. I just pretty much, have to remind myself as well as to the team, like, why what we are doing is actually super important. And this is how we are getting closer to that ultimate goal or vision.
Okay. Well, in that case, have you had a time when you've kind of faced a significant challenge, like unexpected event. How did you deal with that, and what was it that allowed you to kind of overcome that? Maybe that's a different way of looking at it.
You mean like challenge in terms of?
Well, obviously, even though you said right at the start, a bit of a workaholic, so definitely like to try to do it all yourself. But as soon as we have an organization that's bigger than just us, we need, in order to get more done, we need to make sure that others are doing a certain amount of the work, and we kind of essentially refocus on what the highest value work is for us to do, and try to get support from others. So in that sense, sometimes we don't always get what we expected. And I just wondered if you had experienced that, and how you kind of got back on track.
Yeah, I think that's actually very tough. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have this issue that, it'll never live up to your standard. And I think that's pretty much a given, because no matter how much I train people, they just don't have the type of experience, insight that I have. And I really struggled with that early on. Hopefully my team will tell me that I've got better at it. I'm still very much work in progress on that front. I actually asked this question. I don't want to get sidetracked, so let me know if I'm going completely off the track. But I, a few months back, had a chance to talk to number 2 at the Mr. Beast team. Mr. Beast, for those who don't know, is like the biggest YouTuber on the planet with over 100 million subscribers. And he's also the guy who trained his own CEO so that they think like the way he does, so that he can just go out, create content full time. So on the outside, from the outside perspective, it looks like he's delegated everything. Everything's just running on its own. But when I had a chance to talk to the number 2, he's like a COO, or like those guys who started with Jimmy, Mr. Beast, from the very beginning. Is he now, the number 2 himself has got like 50 to 100 people working below him, and even just to put the right thumbnail image, they have a whole Slack chat group. For each video, they have about between 80 to 150 thumbnails that they have to evaluate. And what he told me was quite interesting is, Stephen, no matter how much you want to make yourself completely redundant, and maybe other people can do 70 to 80% of what you do, but they'll never be able to get to 100% of what you do. Okay? Which means you still need to make the final decision and give feedback. But believe it or not, him and Mr. Beast himself will still have a final say on the thumbnail, because it's just that important.
Okay.
And I know that maybe the current trend of like this management teaching or leadership thing is you've got to completely delegate everything, and it's just, you gotta almost like take yourself out of it. Maybe it is possible, but I think I'm sort of getting to, and at some point in my career as CEO, there was a time when I thought, you know what, I just want to completely get myself out. But then recently, for some reason, I'm kind of like, maybe I overcorrected. I'm kind of swinging back to the center a little bit, which is, when it comes to reviewing other people's work, like for the ultimate quality control, you still need to have a final say. But I'll be happy if people can get it to 70, 80%, even sometimes 90%. And I just keep on giving them feedback. And, when it comes to feedback, the whole sandwich method still works, even if people know that about that or not. Sandwich method being starting with pointing out something positive, improvement points, finishing with a positive sandwich type of but still that was really good.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, I think, having thought about this leadership thing for a very, very long time, and I'm sure you've done the same. Yeah, if you just don't have the right people to begin with that are not driven, that are proactive and they still have this very much, they have a skin in the game. I think this whole discussion about, effective delegation or training or giving the feedback is rather moot, because it's like you're trying to reactively solve these problems rather than sort of addressing it up front. So just by really getting the emotional and just get a buy-in from the person who's super capable, that they're capable of performing that role. I think that should be what the majority of the focus should be, I think. But that could just be me.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I fully agree with what you said. And I think that maybe this kind of pulling yourself out, extracting yourself maybe it's come out of the more recent trend of the side hustle, passive income, this kind of thing where earn money in your sleep kind of thing, which is using as much automation as possible. But that is a very specific and kind of tiny niche area. And I think your interpretation of accepting that no one can do it as well as you can doesn't mean just accepting that. It means that you have to make up that difference, and that you can't delegate everything. I mean, there's no doubt that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, they are still very much hands-on, despite their ginormous organizations. So, they are the ones who have taken their businesses to the absolute largest possible scale in the world. So I think, definitely some lessons to be taken out from that.
Do you think that also that this has got, maybe, I'm sure there are many ways to skin a cat, and it really depends on what kind of company you're trying to build as well, or what kind of business you're trying to build, right? Because I heard of terms like lazy CEO, or 4-hour work week, just work-life balance and all that kind of things. But I honestly think at the end of the day, it's about what kind of impact are you trying to leave? What kind of scalability are you looking for? What kind of impact do you want to make? Or what kind of legacy do you want to leave? I think, ironically, I think if you want to build this giant, enormous legacy and try to create a global impact, and not just be a small, a lifestyle business, so to speak. I mean, Elon Musk would be a really good example. Look how much, completely, he just changed multiple industries.
Industries, yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, he's still working his ass off. And I just don't think that's by choice. I mean, sure, you could argue that he's just wired like that. He has to micromanage everything, but I really feel a lot for how he knows that he needs to get something right in order to, just transform an industry. And if he wasn't doing what he was doing and just I'll just delegate everything because I know that there's so many smart people, there's only one Elon Musk.
For sure.
And I say that though, that I might get attacked as you think you're so special. But it just all I can share is just from my own experience. What I've seen is, this is such maybe it's very inconvenient in terms of being politically correct. But yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I would definitely love to share my thoughts in more detail at a later time, but I think we're almost running out of time. One last question, though, which is, we're in the tail end of 2023, going into 2024, a new year. What's in store for you and Asian Boss in the near future?
Yeah, so I think we've got something very big coming up. We were just strategizing about it yesterday, as a matter of fact. Our goal has always been the same, which is we want to be the biggest like a media presence or media brand, definitely from Asia, but pretty much for the rest of the world as well. And because Asia in the future will just be the most population, and we were yesterday just calculating how many countries are there in Asia. It's 48 countries. Well, if you include North Korea. So yeah, we've got something big planned, but yeah, ultimately something that'll just take our brand to the next level in terms of that global type of sort of recognition, could potentially lead to some sort of like a original series.
Okay.
So we've got, not to mention expand our current membership platform. We just got to grow this thing to the point where, can we compete with New York Times and their 10 million subscribers? Let's see. Yeah.
Well, on that note, Stephen, thank you so much for being a guest on the Get Stuff Done podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure that everyone will get a ton of value out of this episode because we covered a lot in a short space of time. Thank you for sharing your insights.
Well, you should try to make this longer, depending on your audience feedback.
That's right. Well, let's get some audience feedback. If you'd like these episodes to go longer, please let us know. We're always willing to listen to what people have to say, and hope that if this is the first time listening to the Get Stuff Done podcast, that you do give us a subscribe so that you can get our weekly episodes that come out every Thursday. So once again, thanks for being on the podcast, Stephen, and thanks everybody for listening and watching. See you next time.
Thanks for having me on. See you later.